Welcome to Software Quality Now. My name is Steve, and on this channel we focus on the development of high-quality, mission-critical software. In today's video, we're going to look at the terms mission-critical and high-quality in more detail. First, let's talk about mission-critical. For a software system to be mission-critical, its operation is required for the ultimate well-being of the enterprise. If the software system fails to meet its goals, the enterprise will be compromised. Perhaps it will fail completely. Think of an enterprise that requires a mission-critical software system. Now imagine that the mission-critical software system fails. What comes to mind? If your imagination is anything like mine, failure means expensive things breaking and mass casualties. Screaming, destruction, anguish, gnashing of teeth. Of course, the failure of the mission-critical systems we build is rarely so dramatic. How about some examples? Example number 1. I grew up during the space race. When I was a teenager, I got interested in model rocketry. I bought Estes model rockets, assembled them, put a motor in them, and fired them into the sky. If I didn't do a good job of gluing the fins on that model rocket, it would not fly up. Instead, it might pinwheel in the air or smash itself into the dirt. Those fins were mission critical with respect to that model rocket. It might not seem like much of an enterprise to you, but to me, at that time, it seemed important, and that rather large investment was lost. A whole $3 for the Big Bertha back then. I couldn't blame anybody but myself. How inconvenient. Mission-critical example number 2. I've done a lot of unusual software during my career. Over 10 years ago, I led a team that built the software to mark the shells of eggs with freshness and traceability information. It wrote the use-by date right on the eggshell, along with a code that the user could use to identify the location the egg was packed at, and the date and time it was packed. It could also put a logo or simple advertisement on the eggshell. It did all this without slowing down the egg packing process. More about that in a minute. The egg marking technology used was lasers. No, we didn't give the chickens lasers. The lasers marked the eggs in their cartons. Technically, this system was a proof of concept, and it marked many hundreds of millions of eggs. Now, I know that seems like a lot of eggs, but it's not really. 12 billion eggs are consumed in the USA each month. The first packing plant at which it was installed packed 600,000 eggs each and every day. Eggs had to be packed within a certain number of hours of being laid, so that meant 600,000 eggs packed and in the cooler each day, no matter what. That magic number of 600,000 included some eggs that were too small, too large, or cracked and could not be packed into cartons. Those rejected eggs were sent to the landfill instead. The egg business is a low-margin business. The only way to make any money is by packing as many eggs as possible in as little time as possible. So if packing stops, the enterprise loses money. That meant if the system marking the eggs stopped, the manager of the packing operation was royally irritated, since employees had to be paid to stand around. That egg marking system was a mission-critical system. You can be sure we made the software as bulletproof as we possibly could to ensure that it didn't hamper the packing operation. We did an excellent job on that system, but still, there were times on weekends when I had to pull over into a parking lot and fix a problem with the system. So, there are 2 mission-critical examples. I'll bet you can think of some of your own. If you do, leave a message in the comments. For our purposes, we are not going to make value judgments based on our perception of the relative value of the mission. If we are being paid the big bucks, then this system must be mission critical to the customer paying for our time and talents. Our job is to focus on ensuring that our software can't be blamed for endangering the mission and consequently enterprise failure. The other term I keep throwing around is high quality. For now, I want to introduce the concept at a high level. Now, hold on, wait a minute. Why would I waste your time on this? After all, you already know the definition of high quality with respect to software, right? I mean, it's kind of obvious after all. I'll tell you what. Take a moment. Think of a definition while we watch some animals frolicking. What would a YouTube video be without kittens? All done? What did you come up with? Oh, go ahead, shout it out. Anything? Anything? Bueller? I'll bet this was harder to do than you thought. Maybe you came up with something about lack of defects. That's certainly part of it, but it's nowhere near the whole story. By the way, that impression that we understand or know more than we actually do is called the illusion of knowledge. Stephen Hawking said, "The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is an illusion of knowledge." Daniel Kahneman, an Israeli-American psychologist, said, "Our comforting conviction that the world makes sense rests on a secure foundation, our almost unlimited ability to ignore our ignorance." One of the main goals of this channel is to alleviate some of that ignorance with respect to software quality. And towards that end, let me introduce you to two individuals that have helped relieve me of a small amount of my vast ignorance. Harold Weinberg, 1933 to 2018, was a computer scientist, author, and teacher of the psychology and anthropology of computer software development, and one of my heroes. He suggested that the quality of a software system is a function of its perceived value. And this is as close as I have come to a short, concise definition of quality for software. If we accept that quality is a function of the perceived value, then whose perception are we interested in? What do they perceive as valuable? How do we represent that perception in a tangible and measurable form? And how do we measure the value that is, in fact, present? The who is easy. It is the customer. Customer encompasses a whole host of stakeholders, however, including but not limited to the end users. But what is valuable to the customer? We need to determine where the value is so we can maximize it early and often. Bertrand Meyer is an author, consultant, and professor of computer science. I had the opportunity to meet Bertrand at a conference many years ago. We both attended a session at that conference, along with a room full of other people, and Bertrand was quite outspoken about the topic being discussed. He made an impression on me, even if the session did not. Now, at this time, Amazon was just a river in South America. So I went to a bookstore, how quaint, and picked up a copy of his book, Object-Oriented Software Construction. Anyway, the very first chapter is entitled Software Quality, and I was introduced to the concept of external and internal quality factors. I was hooked then and there. External quality is all about the usefulness of the system to the stakeholders. Internal quality is all about the structural characteristics of the implementation. In order to explore this dichotomy further, let me propose the following scenario. You are responsible for the most elegant, sophisticated, efficient, carefully commented, defect-free, and otherwise brilliant software system ever built. Truly a masterpiece. You fully expect a nomination for the Turing Award momentarily. You arrange a meeting with the customer's representatives. You even provide coffee and pastries. Upon presentation to the customer's representatives look at you dumbfounded. Obviously, they are speechless with admiration. Instead, the spokesperson for the group informs you that they have no idea why the software has been built or how the steaming pile will be of any use. Well, naturally, you turn a bright shade of red and sputter in rage. I'm sorry I've gotten you so upset. Take a deep breath. Here, have some coffee and a cannoli. Sfogliatella is all mine. Despite not so obvious internal perfection, the customer fails to perceive any value. Bottom line is that as important as the internal quality may be, delivering software that provides the value expected by the customer is what is desired and constitutes the perception of quality, hopefully high quality. I used these external quality factors for many years while architecting and designing software systems. I have evangelized on this topic when talking about software. I have used them as the basis for evaluation for audits I've conducted on software systems. I devised my own detailed criteria for each of the individual factors. Over time, I made some additions and changes to the list to address issues that needed to be covered. I thought about having them tattooed on my forehead and using a mirror whenever I needed to reference them. Luckily, I never got around to that tattoo. Since then, international standards for the evaluation of software quality have been published. Most recently, ISO/IEC 25010:2011. This is known as SQUARE, which stands for Systems and Software Quality Requirements and Evaluation. SQUARE was last reviewed and confirmed in August 2017. SQUARE is quite comprehensive, and I'll save any further discussion for future videos. That completes our discussion of the terms mission critical and high quality. Mission critical addresses how vital the system is to the enterprise, and high quality addresses the external characteristics that the system must possess to meet the needs of the enterprise. This is Steve. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Your support makes it possible for me to continue making these videos. See you for the next video on the Software Quality Now channel, where we focus on high quality, mission critical software development.